The Polygon Detail tab has two different options in it. We have an engraver and a profiler. The engraver is meant for 4-point polygons, and the profiler is meant for LW curves. So let's start out by taking a look at the engraver. I'm going to start out just by creating a box so that we have numerous 4-point polygons. And I'm going to move this up above the ground plane, or the grid that we have. And I'm just going to select just one of our polygons right now. We're going to go back to the LWCAD Extended tab, and under Polygon Detail, select Engraver. Now immediately I'm just going to start drawing out an area, and we can see that we have a bit of a shape that's being defined on that polygon. If I hit N on the keyboard to bring up our numeric options for this, we have the ability to choose from all of the different libraries that are available that are compatible with the Engraver tool. And we can see that with all these different functions, we get a variety of different shapes. What we can also do is change our mode and our different mode settings. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees, and now you can see that we've changed our shape, and we're now in the other direction. What we can also do, if we take a look up at the top, is we can adjust the count and the max freeze error. If I reduce our max freeze error, we're going to see a lot more detail and really get a good definition of this shape. Take a look, we can see that a little bit better. What we can also do, like I was saying, is adjust our count. So we could add numerous shapes to this and define certain objects. This is a really good tool for creating trim for windows, which we did in the previous chapter when we created a custom window. We can also do some other really neat things with this. And I'm just going to create a cube or a box. Use the middle mouse button to make it equal on all of our sides. And I'm going to go back into our engraver tool and just pull it out. And now you can see that all of our sides are being pulled out. And on the keyboard, and just rotate that around, and we can see that we have this from another perspective and a different angle. We can rotate that around again. And you can see we could pull this shape out, we could push it in, and we can set on the top whether or not we'd like to align our base polygons or just simply remove them when we're done with the tool. We can also select whether or not we'd like to close the ends off. And that mainly has to do with some of our base polygons and whether or not they're going to be open. We can adjust the count, and you can see that moving through our shape. And in this case, it kind of looks like 3 computer monitors all piled up on each other. We can also set this to single mode or all. Right now with all on, we can now select our other polygons that are available that are sort of facing the other direction and sort of work along the same way to create a similar shape. I'm really just clicking on each set of polygons in order to define that. But there's a lot of really interesting shapes we can create with this tool. And like I said, it's great for creating trim for doors and windows and a numerous other possibilities as well, because there's so many different shapes that are available. And I'm just going to go ahead and actually create another box. And what I'm going to do this time is remove our bottom polygon. And go back into our engraver and pull that out. You can see that we still have that separation in there. So I'm just going to select our outer edges this time and select all 4 of these polygons, and not the top, and our bottom is removed. So now if we select our engraver, specifying exactly which polygons we'd like to have, what I'm going to do is go ahead and rotate that 90 degrees twice so that we're facing more upward. And now we sort of have the top of a column. And we could define this area a little bit more. We could also choose through all of the different moldings and stair steps. We can also go through the ornaments as well. And we end up with some very interesting looking shapes. Now the next tool we're going to take a look at is our profiler. Now in order to use the profiler, we need a curve. We can use any of the curves available. I'm going to start out with a rectangle and just draw that out. We can go over to the LWCAD Extended tab now. Under Polygon Details, select Profiler, and now just click and drag, and we start to pull out the profile of the currently selected library item. You can see right now we've created sort of a picture frame. And if I hit the N key on the keyboard to pull up our numeric, we can browse through all of the different available options. And this is how it works with a closed curve. We also have other types of closed curves we could have. For instance, I could create a circle. And I'll just go ahead and make that now. Go back and select our engraver tool, or sorry, our profiler, and just pull that out, and now you can see we have a circular shape. And with the circular shape, we also get a rail curve and shape curve freeze error. So I could reduce these to increase the quality and the amount of polygons defining this object. But we can create some extremely interesting shapes this way, and just get some really cool designs. Of course, you can customize your own, and you can basically just create numerous amounts of different details for all of your different models. Now, the open curves work a little bit differently, or basically the same, but with some extra options. And I'm going to select actually just our curve tool and just draw out a basic curve. Hit the space bar, and now we're going to select our profiler, and I'm just going to pull this out. I'm going to hit the numeric, and I want to select something a little more round. So we're going to go into the ornaments and take a look at these options, and I just want something a little more symmetrical. It doesn't necessarily have to be round. But if you take a look now, we can see that our open ends each have a polygon connected to them. And with each of those polygons is a measurement. And I mean, really, they're not polygons. It's more of a representation. They're more of control boxes. But what we can do is click on these and scale these up separately. And that gives us a lot of different design options. And just get some really neat stuff done that way. So we can scale these individually from one end to the other. We also have an angle. So we could change the angle. And what that'll do is twist around our object and give us a really neat looking effect. So now we have this object sort of twisting around, and I'm going to change our angle to around 900 degrees, just so we can see more of that twist in there. Of course, our freeze error is set a little too high at this point, so I'm going to need to actually reduce that even more just so that we can see all of the detail that's available in there. And the more we twist it, the more we're going to need to see that extra detail. And in this case, it's mainly the rail curve freeze error that's going to really fix that twisting, because our shape is going to basically define the polygons going sort of around our object, and our rail curve freeze error is going to define the amount of segments along the initial curve. But we can create a variety of shapes this way, and we can go through all the different ones in the library and just change them out. But we could create horns for characters in this way, we could create twisting columns, we could create just a numerous amount of objects, all very quickly and easily, with a very neat tool. I'm just going to hit the spacebar to end that, and we'll take a look at that full view. And of course, if we turn on smoothing, it'll look a little bit better. And I'm not quite sure which surface that is, so I'm going to switch that to the default. Just hitting Q to open up that surface. Reselect the default. And it might not have applied. But if we had the correct material assigned, it would look a lot better with smoothing. But you can see that you can just create some very cool stuff with this. And when it comes to architectural work, you'll be able to just create some really amazing different houses and buildings and just a variety of accents and trims, and all extremely quickly.